It doesn't make you sound like a better mom. It makes you sound like really kind of into yourself in a way. I am sorry, but, and genuinely, I don't even mean to attack her. There was something frustrating about her, and I think he hits the nail on the head.
Harry and Meghan Markle's surrogacy scandal has entered the mainstream media domain.
It sounds fake.
Okay, so imagine me telling you like, OMG, what if that super hyped royal baby story that everyone was screaming about was actually not the way we were told at all? Like, what if the truth is way more twisty than the fairy tale we all heard?
So all of the pictures, my point is, out there were inconsistent with the idea of a real pregnancy.
So like for the longest time, Meghan and Harry have been spinning this whole vibe about Archie being born in total hush-hush mode. Like they wanted it private and secret and kind of like a big no to the palace rules.
If you had those things, it would be very easy just to put them out there and say, this is what happened. This is what it is.
But now people are starting to talk louder and louder with this fierce energy, like they have proof in their hands and they are ready to spill everything.
Proof that I'm authentic? I just dropped myself twerking. I have proven that I am authentic because I twerked with my husband
And now it's giving off this spooky feeling, like maybe something way darker was actually going down behind those hospital doors.
Why have they simply not made an announcement to the fact that all of this speculation about the children's arrivals?
And right in the middle of all this mess pops up Candace Owens, like she is making herself the star of this whole drama.
Put up a camera, fixate it, and then both of you start twerking. Because in her mind, she was thinking, I'm going to release this later in a Netflix doc or release it later to show people how relatable I am. Otherwise, you can have a cute moment with your husband without recording it. Like, why would you record this for any reason? Why would you record this in the hospital?
She is out here pointing fingers saying there are big, obvious holes in Meghan's whole pregnancy story. These twists are so crazy that even doctors and royal insiders are like shaking their heads in disbelief. Like if you look at Harry's own book and then the whispers from hospital staff, the whole timeline feels not just weird, but almost impossible to believe.
Bothers me first because it's a lie. She's not in the hospital trying to induce labor by twerking. The hospital will not give you a bed because you're trying to induce labor. You are not allowed.
They talk about 2 epidurals, then Meghan leaving the hospital super fast, and all these mixed up excuses about why the press never got the news. So when you line up all these little pieces, it stops looking like a sweet royal baby story and more like a messy puzzle full of contradictions that just keep piling up. And here's the wild part. If even a tiny bit of this doesn't match up, then you gotta wonder what on earth the royals were covering up and why. Because if the mix-ups are true, then people were not just misled, but the trust between Meghan and Harry and the millions who cheered for Archie might have been broken right from the very first day.
Why would you do that? That's not necessary.
Silence everybody and just produce a DNA sample or proof of delivery.
It's like she's playing a human being, like it's a performance.
Okay, so hold on. Don't run too fast with guesses. Let's actually look at the details step by step, because what comes next might flip the whole way you see this royal baby story. So in Harry's own big book, he writes that Meghan gave birth at this super fancy Portland hospital, and he says she had not 1 but 2 epidurals before leaving the place with baby Archie just a few hours later. And on the surface, that sounds like a dramatic royal-style tale, meant to show strength and control. But when real doctors, nurses, and even moms read this, they were like, wait a second, because the idea of 2 epidurals during labor is super rare, since an epidural is when they put medicine near your spine, and swapping it out in the middle of labor is not only unusual, but actually pretty risky. And then comes the next big red flag, because the way Harry tells it, Meghan was out of the hospital and chilling at Frogmore with baby Archie in just 2 hours, which doctors say is basically impossible, since most new moms, even without big problems, are kept at least a full day to be safe. Plus, Portland Hospital is right in central London, and Frogmore Cottage is quite a drive away. So if you add up the paperwork, the baby checkups, the recovery, and the long ride, the math just doesn't work. Even in a perfect world, it feels super rushed and way too convenient. So why share a version that health experts say makes no sense? And if the timeline is already shaky, then what other parts of their shiny story might not be real? Because as weird as this sounds, the contradictions only get—
Like, why lie? It was just so truly truly bizarre.
Get messier once you see how the palace played its role in Archie's birth. So if Harry's story made people raise eyebrows, then Meghan totally poured fuel on the fire with how she handled the press. Because usually when a royal baby is born, everything is super strict. Like the Queen hears first, then an official note goes out, and the press gets the news right away. But when Archie was born, all those rules went flying out the window, and Meghan ended up giving not one, not two, but 3 totally different reasons for why the press was left out in one. She said it was for privacy in another. She hinted there were birth problems, and then she switched it up again, and people were like, hold up, if it was simple, why keep changing the story? Even royal reporters who usually play nice with the palace said they were confused. Some were told Archie was already born, while others got messages saying Meghan was still in labor, which she wasn't. And this wasn't just messy, it broke royal tradition and made the whole institution look sketchy, because palace staff are known to follow rules like clockwork. So when things go off script like this, it's not random, and all that secrecy and switching stories didn't just make people curious, it made them flat out suspicious. So, like, was all that mix up with the press just a sneaky move to hide what really went down with Archie's birth? Because honestly, as weird as that was, it gets even wilder.
Buckingham Palace is being pressured to remove Prince Archie and Princess Elizabeth from the UK's royal line of succession until the Duchess provides absolute proof that she popped out both babies herself.
Once you look at Portland Hospital and the details there, so people are asking, were these slip-ups about privacy, or maybe to make people feel sympathy, or could it be to cover something way bigger about the royals? And when Harry wrote that, Meghan had 2 epidurals. Doctors were like, wait, what? Because an epidural is not some quick little shot. It's a whole careful process where a tube is placed near the spine to keep giving pain relief. And usually once it's in, you just adjust the amount, not yank it out, and put a new one in.
He describes her very well, and he does this by taking a look.
Absolute media manipulation. But I thought tonight this was really ridiculous.
So the idea of having 2 is super strange, since doing that mid-labor is rare, risky, and only done if something really unusual happens. And even then, it would mean a longer recovery and constant checks, after not some fast bounce back the way they described. And the strangest part is that Harry writes about all this. Like, it was totally normal, like just another detail to toss in, when in reality, doctors say that makes 0 sense and feels more like a dramatic version of events, or maybe even twisting the story. And if Meghan really had another invasive procedure, then bouncing out of the hospital the same day sounds impossible, since normally with stuff like that, you would be kept under watch to avoid scary things like low blood pressure, nerve issues, or even infection. So the whole mix of 2 epidurals and a speedy release just doesn't match how birth medicine really works. Which makes you wonder, was this just Harry not getting the medical terms right? Or was the story shaped to sound super extraordinary? Because honestly, with Meghan's pregnancy tale, every tiny detail that doesn't fit seems to open up a way bigger mystery. Like, come on, everyone knows. Childbirth is not something you just walk out of like a quick trip to the store. Even rich or royal moms are supposed to be kept under watch for at least a full day, where doctors check bleeding blood pressure and the baby over and over.
This crisis won't die down until the irrefutable truth comes out.
And if there are serious things like preeclampsia, which Meghan herself has mentioned, then no doctor would ever let her leave that fast. Because that condition can be deadly with seizures, organ damage, and crazy high blood pressure, and women with it are usually kept for days or even weeks.
I was instantly enraged from this 10-second clip. It just annoyed me. Take a listen.
This scandal comes as no surprise. Speculation about the children has been simmering for years.
It was a dreadful thing to do, and actually completely wrong.
People think her kids are fake. They think they're AI. It's just so disgusting.
So when Harry writes that she gave birth, had all these procedures, and was back at Frogmore in just a few hours, it sounds like the length of a movie, and experts say that is reckless at best and impossible at worst. And what makes it sharper is that Meghan has often spoken about safe maternal care and proper monitoring. So if her story about leaving so soon is true, it clashes with the standards she promotes. And if it's not true, then people were fed a polished version that doesn't line up with reality. And either way, it leaves us with more questions than answers, especially now that insiders have started to whisper their own side of what happened. So, behind all those shiny royal press releases, people at Portland Hospital have been whispering a totally different vibe, with anonymous staff saying stuff just didn't match the picture Harry painted. Like, one person even laughed about the whole late-night food order thing. Because yeah, the hospital has fancy meals, but patients can't just order gourmet snacks at all hours. The way he described, and then there's that so-called secret elevator Harry wrote about longtime workers. Say there's nothing like that. Sure, there are private hallways, but no hidden escape route, the way his book made it sound. And while each of these things might seem small when you stack them up, they look like a carefully staged story made for public eyes, not reality. Plus, one insider even said Meghan's stay was way less dramatic than it was told, and Candace Owens has jumped all over this, saying, if the little details fall apart, then maybe the bigger claims do too. So were Harry and Meghan, just trying to make their story sound more heroic? Or is this a bigger plan to control every single detail, from the food to the hallways? Because with every leak, people trust them less and get more suspicious. And it makes you ask why put in things like 2 epidurals and a same-day discharge in the first place. Were those honest mistakes, exaggerated memories, or something put there on purpose to sell a certain version of events? So at this point, the weird details are not just piling up. They are basically screaming for an answer. Like, if the timeline is shaky, if the hospital stories don't match, and if insiders keep spilling tea that clashes with the official tale, then the big scary question is why? Why would Meghan and Harry feel the need to dress up something as personal as their baby's birth? Some people think it was about control, because in the royal world, privacy is almost impossible. Others say it was a move to get sympathy, to show Meghan as this woman facing huge struggles and pressure. And then there are folks who believe it was never about her, but about protecting the monarchy from truths they didn't want out. But here's the kicker. Instead of shutting down critics, all these contradictions only gave them more ammo. Every changed detail, every fuzzy timeline, every odd memory just made people think they were hiding something. And once trust slips away, it is almost impossible to win back. And Candace Owens totally played into that, feeding the doubts and making them louder. Because honestly, if a royal couple can't be clear about something as simple as a birth, then people wonder what else they are hiding, and whether it was careful PR planning or just a messy web of half-truths. The end result is the same. Everyone is side-eyeing the whole story, and now Meghan and Harry's credibility feels shakier than ever. And that's the tea babe from the wild memoir. Mix-ups to the spooky hospital whispers. Meghan's baby story is dripping with things that just don't match up. And whether you think it's messy storytelling or a carefully planned tale, one thing's for sure: the real truth is still buried under all that drama. Candace Owens might be stirring the pot, but she's also shining a bright light on stuff people have been whispering about for years. The dates clash, the stories change, and every new version just makes people even more suspicious. And girl, if you thought the pregnancy timeline was wild, wait till you hear about the whole age drama, because even her own dad, Thomas Markle, is out here dropping claims that could flip your whole view of Meghan. So don't go anywhere. Keep digging into the next deep dive with us, because the rabbit hole goes way deeper than anyone thought, and you'll want to see it all with your own eyes. If you like this video, make sure subscribe to the Bella Breaks Down for more royal updates.